before I get into that, I want to ask you, why short-term rentals, versus, I guess, why did you start to focus on short-term rentals? Not like this moment as far as in the market cycle and everybody focusing on short-term, like you just said, but why did you gravitate in the beginning to short-term rentals versus, say, buying that triplex, fourplex with your, with your VA loan, and just renting them out long-term? What was that about short-term rentals for you?
Right. So just looking behind you, we have a lot of similar books on our bookshelves in terms of
we do. I can see them on yours.
Like with real estate too. So I sat down and probably read, I don't know, but at that time, like at this point, I probably read like over 100 real estate books. But at that time, maybe about 30 or 40 real estate books. And I mean, only one of them was geared towards short-term rentals because there wasn't really too much information out there on them. But what I realized was like reading the multifamily books, reading the flipping books, reading the single family house long-term rental books. The cash flows were like you're lucky to get anywhere between $300 to $600 cash flow per property. And what I was seeing on the back end of like some of these people who I was reaching out to, the types of cash flows they were getting, it wasn't even close. It was like owning 5 to 10 single family houses compared to owning one cabin. So that's when I looked at my goals and where I wanted to be at that time, the way to fast track that is through short-term rentals. And I think that is why so many people have gravitated towards it in the last 3 years, is because they've realized how much these short-term rentals can actually make, especially the unique ones, like the ones that are cabins, A-frames, or some type of that are unique in terms of like the design, if they're like condos or something. So people have, cat's out of the bag, like they cash flow phenomenally. And that's what, and right now it's like with there being like a shortage of inventory and blah, blah, blah. And a lot of people coming from like the long-term rental side who are saying, hey, I just want like a 10% cap rate. I'll be happy with that. And I think that's why prices have been driven up a little bit. But yeah, just the cash flow to answer the first question.
No, so it was really that simple. I mean, ultimately, you notice just more cash flow. But tell me about then the process of just the being able to scale it, right? I mean, it sounds like I don't know too many people, or maybe anybody that I can think of right off, that's scaled the short-term rental business where they're developing a $10+ million project, right? Around short-term rentals. Speak to, it's interesting that your first project was a development, and maybe you can start there, maybe some, why was the first project a development, and how did you know that was something you could tackle to where you're scale, and then move into scaling to syndicating these same types of deals?
Yeah, I didn't want to purchase a property that was just a normal house that I could just put on the short-term rental sites, which still do pretty well right now. And all the properties that were either cabins or something unique about them that would do well as a short-term rental, they were just way too expensive compared to, I had a builder friend who ended up building my first project. We had like just figured out like price per square foot and everything. And our first project was an A-frame, and it was like a 900 square foot A-frame that grossed like 81,000 last year and then netted like 50 grand. So that's sort of why I gravitated towards the development side was that it was like at the time we could build them cheaper. And even right now, it's obviously things have gotten way more expensive with COVID and stuff with like both labor and cost of materials. But there's no inventory for short-term rentals right now, at least in the hot market. So it still makes sense to develop the short-term rentals over just purchasing.